Hi everybody, do you know what's a Canadian PRTD? A Canadian Permanent Resident Travel Document. A bit of a tongue twister. So in today's video, we will discuss details about Canada's PRTD. We will discuss what a PRTD is, in what situations would you need a PRTD, who is eligible to apply, and how to apply. And at the end of the video, I'll also give you some bonus tips regarding situations where you need a PRTD, but then you can use some alternatives. So for details, watch the video till the end. Welcome back. My name is Hassan Shariq. I'm the owner and founder of SHARIQ Immigration, a Canadian licensed immigration consulting firm based in Toronto, Canada. If you're interested in immigration, citizenship, or student admissions, do consider subscribing as I discuss all these topics through various videos frequently. Coming back to the topic for today, which is what is a PRTD? So PRTD stands for Permanent Resident Travel Document. First up, we will discuss what a PRTD is. So a PRTD is a Government of Canada official documentation, which is actually in the form of a visa label, which is stamped on your non-Canadian passport because you're not a Canadian yet and you don't have a Canadian passport. You're a permanent resident of Canada, or you were granted a permanent residency of Canada many, many years ago. But this document entitles you to travel to Canada based on this particular PRTD or the visa label, which is called a PRTD. So it's like an alternative for the PR card that you have. All Canadian permanent residents have a PR card which they use when they want to travel back to Canada. So they present it to the airline staff, and the airline staff, based on presentation of this PR card, allows them to board a flight and to travel back to Canada. So your PRTD is an alternative for the PR card that you have. Who needs a PRTD, or why is it needed? So as I mentioned previously, that all Canadian permanent residents have a PR card. But there could be situations where you are a Canadian permanent resident, but you don't have the PR card. These situations could be, number one, you did a landing, like you got a confirmation of PR, you did a landing, and then you did not stay in Canada for long. You stayed for, say, maybe 5-6 days or a week, and then you went back. You had to wind up things, and the PR card was not delivered to you because the PR card is delivered only within Canada. So you were here for a short time. By the time that you left back, it was not delivered at the address that you provided. So that's why you don't have a PR card. There could be another situation that you had a PR card, you traveled somewhere outside of Canada, but you lost it. It got lost, it got stolen, and now you want to travel back to Canada, but you don't have the PR card. There could be another situation wherein you had your PR card, you traveled outside of Canada, and for some reason, you stayed in that place for so long that now your PR card is expired. A lot of times people who gain PR and then live in Canada for a while before getting their citizenship and then go somewhere else and are not able to come back for years and years are in a situation where their PR card is now expired. So in all these situations, you will require a permanent resident travel document to be eligible to return to Canada. Like, you are eligible to return to Canada if you have the PR status, but if you want to board a commercial airline or a vessel, the staff will not allow you because they don't have access to all the details of government records where they can ascertain that yes, you have a PR status, and they want to see a PR card or the alternative document, which is a PRTD. So a PRTD is needed if you don't have a PR card, or if you have a PR card but it has expired. So let's have a look at who is eligible to apply for a PRTD. So the first eligibility requirement is that you must be a PR, a permanent resident of Canada. So you should have your permanent resident status intact, or that in the past you were granted a permanent resident status and a written declaration has not been made which states that your permanent resident status has been revoked. Secondly, you should be outside of Canada. So a PRTD cannot be applied if you are based in Canada. Next, you must be in a situation where you don't have your PR card, either it's lost, stolen, or it's not in your possession, or it's expired. And lastly, you are looking to return to Canada through a commercial airplane or sea vessel. There are certain exceptions wherein if you wish to travel by road to Canada, that's through US borders, that there can be some alternatives. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll talk about this at the end of the video. Now let's look at how to apply for a PRTD. So to apply for a PRTD, as we established in the beginning, that one of the eligibility requirement is that you have to be outside of Canada. What you do is that you can go online on CIC website. You could download the document checklist, which will require you to provide proof that you were granted the Canadian permanent resident status, which is usually through your confirmation of PR. So if you have your COPR with you, that provides proof that you were a PR. Or if your PR card expired, even having proof of that, that works. You fill up the form and then you submit this application to the relevant High Commission or Canadian Embassy in the country that you're based. So usually you can apply online, or you could apply through the VFS, the closest VFS that you have, and this application will be submitted. There is an application fee as well, which is usually about 50 Canadian dollars at the time of recording of this video. And you provide some explanation as to why you're not in possession of your PR card. The reason could be that it got expired or that it got stolen, and then you have to provide supporting documentation for that. You could apply for this on your own, or you could use a representative, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant who could help you in this. You submit this application, this goes to the relevant High Commissioner Embassy, and they process it. Now there's a lot of time, a lot of people ask that what is the processing time? This can vary. This can vary quite a bit depending on which country are you applying in, but do factor in that it might take a couple of months for it to be processed. Sometimes it's not something that is processed very urgently. So once it gets approved, you'll send your passport, just like any other visa label is stamped. You send your passport, and on your passport it gets stamped, and then with that PRTD stamped on your passport, you can travel back to Canada. So now that you know what is a PRTD, who needs it, how to apply, I'll tell you some tips. So first, if you are somebody who requires a PRTD because you don't have your PR card with you for whatever reason, and you would want to travel back to Canada and you want to do that urgently and not wait for a few months, one way is that if you travel to United States, you might already have a visa, or you apply for that and you're able to get it quickly, and you travel between US and Canada through the land border. If you present documentation, that is your confirmation of PR, the long legal paper that you get and that's signed when you do the first landing, if you present that, there is a good likelihood that the officer, the CBSA officer, would let you in. So this is a good way for people who do not have their PR card to actually try and enter Canada if they don't want to wait for the PRTD processing because of time or for some other reason. Secondly, those people who get PR granted and they land and then they have to travel back, like maybe they have to wind up all the things over there and then come back, using PRTD is a good option. So you will not have your PR card delivered to you if you are looking at traveling back from Canada in say maybe a week or two from the time that you do your first landing. So in that case, what you could do is that you land in Canada, you provide an address within Canada for where your PR card should be sent, and then you go back wherever you're residing, you apply for a PRTD, and you use that. Say you plan on coming back to Canada after 3 months. So you apply for PRTD, you get the PRTD granted, and that's when you come back to Canada. It's usually like a single entry thing. So you come back to Canada and your PR cards might have already been delivered at a Canadian address by that time at your friend's place or your family's place, and then you have the PR card. So this is an advice that I give to a lot of my clients who are working somewhere else. They get their PR granted, and then they would want to, do a landing. Sometimes what happens is that you only have like a month or so between your COPR expiry date, like the last date till when you have to do your landing. So you do that landing, and then you can't stay back in Canada because you have to go back and do some arrangements, wind up stuff over there. So for you people, applying for PRTD is what is suggested. So that's all on the topic of PRTD. I hope I've been able to provide some valuable information. If you still have some questions, do post them in the comment section. With this, I'll ask for leave, and I'll also request you to support and like the channel. I'll soon be back with another video on a topic of immigration, citizenship, or student admissions. Till that time, take care and bye-bye.